So we're going to be talking with Joe Swanson. He's a tattooer and recently been a pretty badass podcast host. If you haven't caught his podcast, it's the Joe Swanson Propaganda Podcast. It's pretty kick-ass. Hey, Joe.
What's happening, man? How are you?
Good. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
How do you like the visual version of this? You're probably used to being behind.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. I have a little, it is getting up over 100 degrees here. I got a little honey whiskey in my hand.
Oh, it stuff's
we
delicious.
got the kids swimming out back. It's good, man. So I'm excited about it.
So tell the folks out there who might not be familiar with you a little bit about your podcast and how long you've been doing it.
Well, in 2009, well, let's see here. In 2000, late last year, 2012, I started doing some interviews and conversations online. I got my podcast up and running around September, I think. And, quickly through fortunate acquaintances of mine and people that hit me up, namely Hassan Asari, who is worked with Mike Pike for a lot of years and knew Jojo Ackerman. And he came on and hit me up about coming on. And that kind of snowballed things. And, I've was fortunate and blessed enough to talk with Jojo, who I've respected and had great admiration for his work for a lot of years. And it's kind of it went from there. It's really just a conversational based talk between artists and folks who are creative personalities. It tends to be tattoo related, but I've had Adam Banton, who's a pro BMXer, on there. I've had Carrie Byron from Mythbusters, who's a good friend of mine, on there. Real good friend.
You just made a lot of nerds really happy. Like, ooh, Carrie Byron.
Yeah, look at that. That's Paul Urick on my shirt. That's Carrie's husband, a really good friend of mine, a guy who I apprenticed to tattoo and who's doing great things in San Francisco. So, man, Ben, it's been really great and to be able to talk with all these wonderful folks and get that podcast up.
So what was your motivation behind it? What made you decide to be like, look, I got to talk to these people and I want to put it out there for other people to hear it?
You know what? I've had in my tattoo career of 17 years, I've been blessed to be around some really great people. The Martin Newicks from Body Graphics and Picture Machine. Erno, I've worked with Erno, and a lot of different folks. And throughout those times, I've had abilities to have conversation with them, and I thought that these stories needed to be kind of told, and kind of the day-to-day happenings of a tattoo shop are fun to hear about. So I wanted to get those kind of things out there for people, and I would probably say that the earliest that I had a thought about doing this kind of interview, it's turned into more conversational, but an interview style thing on the internet was back in 2009 when I talked with Dave Gibson, and I did an interview for him for my website back then, and also Clayton Patterson, who is he spearheaded the New York Tattoo Association meetings, which was almost a convention every week in New York, that guys like Timothy Hoyer and Eddie Deutsch and a lot of Guy Atchison and a lot of those guys kind of came up through and were able to display their work every week. And this was prior to, I believe, 96, when New York was still illegal to tattoo there. So everybody was kind of shut off, and this was their opportunity to come together and display their work and talk about tattooing. And so I did that back in 2009, and then in 2012, I had been kind of a listener of podcasts, and I said, you know what, man, nobody's doing it, on iTunes, and I have it on Stitcher Radio and different things like that, and I just said, let's do it, and I scrambled my way through it, and it's still a work in progress, and I'm still, taking it show by show, and, real excited to have got an email from Gabe from over there at Off the Map, and been invited to the Keystone show coming up in Colorado, and that's where we're going to do our first live show.
I'm really looking forward to that. I think that's going to be great.
Man, before you called, I just confirmed with Doug Hardy and Matt Shama They're going to be one of my shows out there,
Awesome.
I believe on Friday. Yeah, it's great. Doug's been on the show before and wonderfully articulate and a great guest. So if you haven't heard that, you could find it on iTunes and Stitcher. But I'm excited. I really am happy to take the show to the next level and do it live. And I'm also talking with getting JoJo back on, and also Seth Safari. I've talked with him. He sounds very interested, and and then there's one other show that I'm still trying to book guests, and but so far a Matt Shama, Doug Hardy show is pretty much confirmed, and the other guys have expressed interest. So man, it's going to be cool. I think
it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it. I like the format of your show. Gabe and I took a pretty long drive out to Guy Aitchison's place, Hyperspace, and we listened to many episodes of your podcast on the way out. It's a 20-hour drive, and I really like the casual conversational format of your podcast. It's like you're sitting in a room with a couple guys, and they're just talking. And
that's what I've gotten a lot of good feedback, and I continue to try to make it better. I continue to try to work on my skills as the host of the show. I'm not the star. My guests are the stars of my show, and I try to make it fun and easy for them to be on. And, I got some feedback from Ben Hori Benny over in Japan, and he said, listening to the Doug Hardy podcast was like conversations that he and Doug used to have. And that to me is perfect. I love that. I love hearing that from people. And that's what I continue to strive to make it a fun and easily listen to hour of talk between artists about inspiration. And, the name of the show, the Joe Swanson Propaganda Podcast, there's a lot of negativity, it seems, out in tattooing these days. And I want to propagate some positivity for people and give them a smile on their face every week and maybe a chuckle about a story. So it's been so fun so far, and I'm looking forward to many, many, many more episodes of the show.
So you've done some instructional stuff, right, about tattooing?
Yeah, I have Kingpin Tattoo Supply is a sponsor of my podcast, and they also distribute my DVD on Painting Tattoo Flash. It is a 8-step process that basically takes you from materials to getting the design on paper, all the way through the back, through spit shading with black and through the color. And we talk about everything. So, you can get that DVD for $50, I think maybe even 47 through Kingpin, or you can get it through myself, ogjoeswanson@gmail.com. Man, it's been really cool to have that out. That came out in 2009, and then Tattoo Style Drawing is my volume 1 is my next DVD that I put out. And that's really just I think any artist could get something out of it, but I catered that more to the beginning artist who wants to have a little bit of an insight into some of the formulas and patterns that we as tattooers use every day on some of the most tattooed images, fire and water, webs, things like that, things I've picked up over the years. Flowers is in that one as well. So real good little techniques that are going to give people kind of an edge when they're drawing, maybe make things a little more efficiently or more efficient in their art. So